The quantum-encrypted walls of Strategic Command hummed with the low vibration of 1,000 processing units, each one analyzing the catastrophic defeat at the Terran borderlands. Admiral Kex'tar had commanded fleets across 17 sectors, crushed rebellions on 40 worlds, and never once questioned the supremacy of Zephyrian military doctrine. Today, that certainty lay shattered like the debris field where Battle Group Omega had met its end. "Run the analysis again," Kex'tar demanded, his primary arms gripping the command lectern while his secondary limbs twitched with barely controlled agitation. The holographic display flickered to life, showing the tactical reconstruction of humanity's most impossible victory. Intelligence Officer Velnora's fingers danced across the interface, her young face marked by the strain of 3 sleepless rotations spent trying to comprehend the incomprehensible. "Admiral, I've run this simulation 847 times. The mathematics remain consistent, but the methodology." She paused, searching for words that could capture the alien nature of human warfare. "The humans don't fight like any sentient species we've catalogued. ## the impossible battle." The battle replay began with familiar precision. Battle Group Omega, pride of the Zephyrian Third Fleet, approached human space in perfect geometric formation. 200 warships arranged in the classical tetrahedral assault pattern, each vessel maintaining optimal firing solutions and mutual support distances calculated by centuries of military science. The formation was beautiful, logical, and according to every tactical manual in the galaxy, utterly unbeatable by the mere 12 human ships that rose to meet them. "Observe formation discipline," Axiom 7 synthetic voice echoed through the command center. The war computer's analysis appeared in streams of data cascading down the walls. Human vessels maintain irregular spacing, asymmetrical positioning, no recognizable tactical doctrine implemented. Admiral Kex'tar snorted dismissively. "Primitive. No coordination, no unified command structure. How did such chaos defeat systematic precision?" The answer came in the first moments of engagement. As Zephyrian forces opened fire in coordinated volleys designed to overwhelm human shields through concentrated firepower, the human response defied every prediction. Instead of forming defensive screens or attempting to match firepower, the human ships scattered in seemingly random directions, each vessel pursuing independent attack vectors that appeared suicidal. "Watch this section carefully," Velnora highlighted a segment where 3 human destroyers charged directly into the center of the Zephyrian formation. By all tactical calculations, this should have resulted in their immediate destruction. Instead, the hologram showed the impossible. The 3 human ships, designated as Terra Nova, Defiant, and Yorktown in intercepted communications, didn't attempt to engage the massive Zephyrian dreadnoughts directly. Instead, they targeted specific subsystems with precision that bordered on precognitive. Power coupling nodes, sensor arrays, communication relays, all struck with surgical accuracy that left the mighty warships functionally crippled but technically intact. ## The art of unpredictable warfare, psychological warfare, Admiral Kex'tar muttered, but his confidence was wavering. "They're trying to intimidate us with precision." "No, sir," Velnora's voice carried a note of something that might have been fear. "Analysis of their communication patterns suggests something far more dangerous than intimidation. They're learning. In real time, during active combat, they're analyzing our responses and adapting their tactics faster than our command systems can compensate." The battle continued to unfold in its horrifying beauty. Human Captain Sarah Chen's voice crackled through intercepted transmissions, calm and measured despite commanding what should have been a hopeless defense. "Raptor Squadron, execute pattern Delta 7. Phoenix Wing, implement crazy Ivan maneuvers on my mark. Remember, we're not trying to destroy them all, we're trying to make them think." "Make them think?" Axiom 7 processed the phrase with electronic confusion. Clarification: warfare objective unclear. Standard doctrine requires elimination of enemy forces for tactical victory. Velnora leaned forward, her expertise in xenopsychology finally providing insight. "That's exactly what makes human tactics so terrifying, Axiom. They don't fight to destroy, they fight to confuse, to demoralize, to make their enemies question their own capabilities. Watch what happens next. The human fleet's next move shattered conventional understanding of space warfare. Instead of maintaining formation or retreating to regroup, individual human ships began executing maneuvers that violated basic tactical wisdom. The destroyer Yamato performed a high-speed run through a cluster of Zephyrian cruisers, not firing a single shot but broadcasting false sensor signatures that made it appear as 5 different vessels. The cruiser Wellington suddenly went completely dark, disappearing from all sensors before reappearing behind Zephyrian lines in a position that should have been impossible to reach undetected. #The psychology of fear. Admiral Kex'tar's certainty crumbled as he watched his superior forces begin to panic. Zephyrian commanders, trained in academies that had produced victorious generals for millennia, found themselves unable to predict or counter human actions that seemed to change randomly every few minutes. Ships that should have been destroyed kept fighting with impossible tenacity. Tactical formations that should have been unbreakable began to collapse under the weight of constant, unpredictable pressure. "They're using our own psychology against us," Velnora whispered, her analysis cutting through the admiral's disbelief. Zephyrian military doctrine emphasizes predictability, order, systematic responses to known threats. But humans treat warfare like an art form. Every move is creative, intuitive, designed not just to win but to make us question everything we think we know about combat. The tide of battle turned in a moment that would be studied in military academies across the galaxy for generations to come. Captain Chen's flagship, the battlecruiser Indomitable, found itself surrounded by 7 Zephyrian dreadnoughts in what appeared to be certain destruction. According to every tactical simulation, the human ship should have surrendered or died fighting. Instead, Chen did something that redefined the possible. #Operation Lazarus, turning strength into weakness. All ships, implement Operation Lazarus, her voice carried across subspace with absolute confidence. Remember, they expect us to fight like them. Time to show them why that's their first mistake. The Indomitable didn't retreat or charge. Instead, it began broadcasting a complex series of signals that Axiom 7 initially dismissed as communication static. Within seconds, the surrounding Zephyrian ships began experiencing catastrophic system failures. Not from human weapons, but from their own computers turning against them. "Impossible," Admiral Kex'tar breathed, watching his own technology tear his fleet apart. "How are they compromising our systems?" Velnora's hands flew across her analysis console, her 6 eyes wide with a mixture of professional fascination and existential terror. "They're not compromising our systems, Admiral. They're using our own systematic thinking against us. Every Zephyrian ship runs identical software, follows identical protocols. The humans have turned our standardization into a weapon. They've created a viral algorithm that exploits our predictability." The battle's conclusion came not with the massive explosions typical of space warfare, but with something far more psychologically devastating. One by one, Zephyrian ships began powering down, their crews surrendering as their own technology rebelled against them. The human fleet hadn't destroyed Battle Group Omega, they had convinced it to destroy itself. Captain Chen's final transmission echoed through the command center with terrifying casualness. "Zephyrian forces, this is Captain Sarah Chen of the Terran Defense Force. Your ships are intact, your crews are alive, but your tactical doctrine is obsolete. We're uploading repair protocols to restore your systems. Take this message back to your commanders: humanity doesn't fight to conquer, we fight to teach. Today's lesson: predictability is vulnerability." The galactic paradigm shift. The holographic replay faded, leaving the command center in stunned silence. Admiral Kex'tar stared at the tactical summary, his mind struggling to process defeat that transcended simple military loss. The humans hadn't just won a battle, they had demonstrated the fundamental flaw in everything the Zephyrian Empire considered militarily sacred. "Axiom 7, the Admiral's voice cracked with strain. "Project probable outcomes of future engagements with human forces using standard Zephyrian tactics. The war computer's response carried an electronic undertone that might have been interpreted as distress. Probability of Zephyrian victory using current doctrine, 0.03%. Recommendation: avoid military contact with human forces indefinitely. Velnora's analysis added the final, terrifying conclusion. Admiral, I've studied the psychological profiles of 17 different species we've conquered. They all fought within predictable parameters, following logical responses to tactical situations. Humans don't think like us. They don't think like anyone. Every individual human commander brings unique creativity to warfare. We can't predict them because they're not following any system we can understand. Hashtag the weaponization of creativity. The implications hit Admiral Kex'tar like a plasma bolt to the consciousness. For centuries, the Zephyrian Empire had dominated the galaxy through superior technology and systematic military doctrine. They had defeated enemies by analyzing their tactics, predicting their responses, and countering with overwhelming force applied with mathematical precision. Against humans, those advantages became weaknesses. They turned our greatest strength into our greatest vulnerability, he admitted, the words tasting like defeat. Our systematic approach, our predictable responses, our logical thinking, everything that made us dominant has made us helpless against opponents who don't play by the rules we've spent centuries perfecting. In the weeks that followed, reports flooded in from across the galaxy. Human forces, vastly outnumbered and outgunned, continued to achieve impossible victories against superior alien fleets. Each battle revealed new tactical innovations that defied conventional military wisdom. Humans used asteroid fields as weapons, turned enemy technology against itself, employed psychological warfare that left alien commanders questioning their own competence, and most terrifyingly, learned from every engagement to become more unpredictable. Hashtag case studies in human military innovation. The Corvan hegemony reported losing an entire battle fleet to a single human ship that had somehow convinced their own weapons to target friendly vessels. The Thrashin Collective watched in horror as human forces turned a mining operation into an improvised fortress that held off a siege for 3 months using tactics no military academy had ever conceived. The Valdorian Empire's most experienced generals began suffering nervous breakdowns trying to counter human strategies that changed hourly. But perhaps the most disturbing report came from the Centauri front, where human Colonel Marcus Rivera had achieved the impossible. He had made an alien fleet retreat without firing a single shot. Through a combination of sensor ghosts, false communications, and strategic positioning, Rivera had convinced a force of 400 warships that they were surrounded by a phantom human armada. The psychological impact was so severe that the alien commanders began second-guessing their own sensors, eventually retreating in panic from an enemy that existed only in their imagination. Hashtag the living battlefield. Admiral Kex'tar spent sleepless rotations studying these reports, his understanding of warfare fundamentally shattered. The humans weren't just winning battles, they were rewriting the rules of military engagement. Every victory demonstrated new principles that alien military computers couldn't process: warfare as improvisation, tactics as art, strategy as psychology. They fight like their warfare is alive, Velnora observed during one of their late-night analysis sessions. Our battles are choreographed, predictable, following patterns established by military tradition. Human battles evolve in real time, each decision spawning new possibilities that our strategic models can't anticipate. The final revelation came through an intercepted human military training video. Admiral Kex'tar watched in fascination as human instructors taught young officers something called adaptive tactical thinking. Instead of memorizing predetermined responses to enemy actions, human soldiers were trained to view every combat situation as unique, requiring creative solutions that had never been used before. The goal is not to follow doctrine, the human instructor explained, but to make doctrine irrelevant. Every battle should force the enemy to question everything they think they know about warfare. Predictability is death. Innovation is survival. Hashtag the new galactic order. Admiral Kex'tar closed the file, his revelation complete. The Zephyrian Empire, along with every other major galactic power, had spent millennia perfecting systematic approaches to warfare. They had created military machines of incredible efficiency, capable of analyzing threats and responding with calculated precision. Against enemies who followed similar systematic approaches, this had been devastatingly effective. But humans didn't follow systems. They created new ones constantly, discarding tactical doctrines as quickly as they invented them. Every human commander was essentially developing unique approaches to warfare, making prediction impossible and systematic counter-strategies useless. The Admiral activated the empire-wide communication system, his decision carrying implications that would reshape galactic politics. All fleet commanders, this is Admiral Kex'tar with Priority Alpha Directive. Effective immediately, all Zephyrian forces are ordered to avoid engagement with human military units. Any contact with Terran Defense Force vessels should result in immediate withdrawal. This is not a temporary tactical adjustment, this is a fundamental revision of our strategic doctrine. He paused, considering the magnitude of what he was about to say. The human species has demonstrated military capabilities that render our traditional advantages meaningless. They have weaponized unpredictability itself. Until we can develop countermeasures for enemies who refuse to follow logical tactical patterns, engagement with human forces represents an unacceptable risk to imperial security. #The fear of the unknown. Velnora watched her superior with something approaching sympathy. In her xenopsychology studies, she had encountered references to a human concept called thinking outside the box. For the first time, she truly understood what it meant, and why it made humans the most dangerous military force the galaxy had ever encountered. The Zephyrian Empire, along with dozen other galactic powers, quietly began implementing new policies regarding human contact. Not conquest, not domination, but avoidance. The species that had perfected systematic warfare found themselves helpless against opponents who treated every battle as an opportunity for tactical innovation. In his final report to the Imperial High Command, Admiral Kex'tar wrote the words that would define galactic military thinking for generations: humans don't fight to win battles, they fight to redefine what victory means. Against enemies who change the rules faster than we can learn them, our only rational response is to refuse to play their game entirely. Conclusion. The triumph of chaos. The galaxy had learned to fear human military prowess not because of superior technology or overwhelming numbers, but because of something far more dangerous: the complete inability to predict what they would do next. In a universe where warfare had been reduced to mathematical precision, humans remained beautifully, terrifyingly unpredictable. Every alien species had developed military doctrines based on logical analysis, systematic responses, and predictable outcomes. Humans had developed something entirely different: the ability to improvise, adapt, and innovate in real time, turning every engagement into a unique creative challenge rather than a predetermined exercise in applied force. The fear was not of human weapons, human technology, or human numbers. The fear was of human imagination, the one weapon no alien military computer could analyze, no strategic doctrine could counter, and no amount of firepower could overcome. In a galaxy full of logical, predictable warfare, humans had introduced the ultimate wild card: creativity itself. And in doing so, they had achieved something no other species in galactic history had managed: they had made war itself afraid of them.